Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
And welcome, everyone. Welcome back. And today we are actually having a very exciting thing that's happening. So, those of you all that are watching this might be too late, but for our audience that's tuning in right now, okay, we are actually now broadcasting on Clubhouse.
Yes.
So those of you all that are following us on Instagram, you can check out my Instagram and then we'll be mentioning it. We'll get IMO.pod to shout out the Insta story as well. So
Yes.
you all feel free to join us on Clubhouse. We are piloting this. Eventually, we want to use this as a platform for you all to directly interact with us, especially about topics that we'll be talking about throughout this this entire human existence.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Clubhouse is a little bit exclusive right now. I mean, you need an invitation to get into Clubhouse. You need to be an iPhone user. Android app haven't come out yet, all sort of thing. But hopefully, we are banking on this app being more mainstream in the future.
Yeah, don't worry about it because this is actually a good opportunity for us to reach out to more people. Okay, so for those of you that are tuning in to Clubhouse, to us on Clubhouse, thank you so much for joining us. And we will open up the floor later. So always engage with us, and if you got any comments and whatever, you can contact us in two ways. One is to talk to us on Clubhouse. The other would be to leave a comment on our YouTube page. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram as well, which is imo.pod.
IMO.pod.
Yes, and Lester, Insect Logger, myself, Jonjona on Instagram. And without further ado, let's get started about today.
Let's get started. Okay, so today's topic is a little bit more controversial. So we have been posting a little bit less controversial topics for the last 3 weeks. Firstly is the Am I the Asshole episode, which is very fun and all, and there's the A-levels episode. But for this one, it's a topic on incident that has blown up quite a bit in social media. For the people who don't know, I'll be linking a Must Share News article down below. But it's basically about this Instagram page called THIR.ST, basically THIR.ST. And what they basically they posted a post about sexual assault and sexual temptation, I guess, especially in the context of church and in the context of Christianity. And in one particular slide, they said something that was pretty controversial. John, should I read it out?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let me just read it out real quick. So the Instagram post, for the people who don't know, reads, "Can I also make a special appeal to girls?
Yeah.
Let's help our brothers by not dressing in a revealing or provocative way. Of course, you don't have control over their lustful thoughts, and it may not be a sin to wear that skin-tight dress or post that bikini photo. But if we can help our brothers, why not? Avoid it because we must do it. Avoid it not because we must do it, but because we love each other as brothers and sisters in Christ." And this sparked a huge controversy, in my opinion, rather rightfully so, about victim blaming, about like spreading a false narrative and everything. And actually the pastor who is like kind of in charge of this Instagram page did come out and say an apology quite recently, actually one day before we are filming this. So she did apologize, but that's something that we're going to get into later on.
Yeah,
the apology.
So let me just give this whole conversation a little bit more context, So basically, this is the pastor justified that this is actually because of the situation that arose because he was talking about the news about Ravi Zacharias and sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
So throughout the entire post, they were trying to talk about how not to fall for sexual misconduct, how to protect yourself, and the very, very, very controversial slide, which we'll just refer to as slide 7 from now on, right? Would be the special appeal to girls. Okay, and I think this is where our entire discussion has to happen because personally, Lester, what is your religion?
Technically Buddhism.
But
like I'm gonna be honest with you guys and keep it real. I haven't been to the temple in a very long time, other than for Chinese New Year.
Correct.
So I don't know. I'm like kind of looking around. I guess I have been to church before. Actually, wasn't a great experience. Maybe I'll elaborate on that later on. But for now, it's just how it is. And how about you, John? You are Catholic, right?
Yeah. So I'm Catholic, right? So for those of you that are wondering, I personally feel that there is no need for us to draw a divide between Catholics and Protestants, but that is another discussion for another time.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I would say I am Christian and very much involved in this particular group that is being put under scrutiny. Because after all, THIR.ST is a Christian Instagram page run by a Christian pastor. And I think that's where the crux of it lies because besides the narrative being terrible, the group that is presenting it makes it even worse.
Yeah, okay. So from someone who is kind of in that community, I guess you have I would say a little bit more opinions about it, right? Because
Yeah.
okay, to me, I'm gonna be honest with you guys because I'm not Christian. When I look at this, my first thought wasn't exactly like it was oh no, but it was not in a it wasn't it was more of a resigned oh no, because I don't know, we have this impression about Christians being like this or like prudish or like
Yeah.
this like a bit sometimes a bit extremist.
Yeah.
But I guess to me at least it was more of a resigned. But
Yeah.
for you, how do you feel when you saw this?
Okay, personally, I am extremely disappointed, but at the same time, like, I agree with you, I'm not surprised.
Okay.
I feel that right now we have reached a point in time whereby people from my faith, Christians, right, are colored as the people who are anti-LGBTQ plus for the actions of a few. And I think it's a few that severely misunderstand the message of Christianity.
Okay.
Yeah, and like the thing about it is that I don't want to necessarily say that they are wrong. My main conclusion, which I will elaborate throughout the whole episode, would be that the people from THIR.ST are well-intentioned but terribly ignorant in their execution.
Yeah, they did it very, very badly. And
I don't want to just like put it as like, oh, done badly, because it's beyond that. You know, it is done extremely ignorantly. It is bad because it is ignorant as heck.
Okay. I mean, okay, so that is, of course, okay, before we go any further, we do want to preface that this is a topic that's going to be very controversial and it's going to be pretty triggering, especially if you are a victim of sexual abuse in the past. So if you are, I'm sorry, and hopefully society can continue to do better for you and stop posting stuff like this.
Yeah, but at the same time, okay, you continue first.
Oh, I was just about to say that, but you might want to like click out on this if this makes you uncomfortable,
right,
or anything along those lines, because I understand it can be a very big trigger point for you.
At the same time, I just want to clarify here that today our topic, our conversation point will not be about sexual abuse, and will not be about sexual crimes.
Yes,
Yes. I feel that this is a post that was very, very targeted at sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct can come in many ways, especially when you talk about Christian life, right? Sexual misconduct can come in the form of temptation, can come in the form of pornography, can come in the form of a lot of self-inflicted or self-actioned deeds.
Okay.
Lust for another person.
Yeah.
We call all this under sexual misconduct.
Okay.
We don't talk about sexual misconduct that has escalated into a crime.
Isn't that what they were talking a little bit about though in the THIR.ST Instagram
This was
page?
brought about because of a crime.
Yeah.
Right? But I think the whole post was actually trying to talk about the case of sexual misconduct in the Christian community.
Okay.
Doesn't matter whether it is a crimeful, whether it's a criminal act. You get what I mean? What they're trying to address here is that. Okay? And that's where slide number 7 becomes very, very tricky.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, first of all, I really do agree with most of the comments saying that this paints a very poor narrative and very ignorant message to send to like the masses that, okay, regardless of what, okay, here's the thing. I don't think that this is what she meant to do or meant to say.
Yeah.
That or at least I would like to think that she didn't have any ill intentions. But I do think that inevitably, when she phrased things this way, it makes it sound like the blame is on the victims or the blame is on the girls, more specifically in this case, which is something that is very, I don't know, it's just very, very ignorant.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to, okay, do you have any, like, I won't say redeeming qualities, or like, do you have any way to defend in this case, like defend her or anything?
Honestly speaking, I feel that like, okay, let me I wouldn't say this is to defend her. Okay. But I just want to say that like why I mentioned about it being well intentioned but ignorantly executed, okay, is very simple. Okay. The main reason why I say it's well intentioned, because every other slide is actually constructive to the discussion.
Okay.
I want to draw a special attention to slide number number 6.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, slide number 6, when they talk about sexual misconduct, right, they mention about sexual struggles are usually things that we don't like to talk about, unlike other things, since they were more willing to confess and to share with others. But the more we keep these things hidden, the harder they become to deal with. I thought this messaging was fantastic.
Okay.
It was extremely important to encourage young people and people who are less discerning to have this kind of attitude when it comes to the approach of sexual struggles.
Okay.
Following that, they said, so get a trusted person or group of people who can be part of your support group and defense strategy against temptation. Now, this one might not be accepted in wider society, but this is extremely good for a Christian audience.
Okay, yes.
Think about it, because if let's say your objective is to guard against sexual temptation, speaking to a trusted person or group of people, right, can absolutely steer your action.
Yes,
and I think that is all more power to these type of actions, right?
Yeah, if it works for you, it works for you.
Find someone who you can share your struggles with, who can pray with you and for you. Allow trusted friends and leaders to check on you and call you out. Perfect, right?
Okay.
Accountability reminds and assures us that we are not alone in our struggles. We can spur one another on in our pursuit of purity. I tell you, this is the slide that I want to say inspired to do more of.
Okay.
Because I think this is the best way you can be insightful in a Christian context and still enlighten people on how to behave. But then we come to the next slide.
Yes.
Which is slide 7, where it is a special appeal to girls. Let's help our brothers by not dressing in a revealing or provocative way. Firstly, right, I have a issue with these two statements already.
Yeah, go ahead.
First one is, why must there be a special appeal to girls?
Like, why them in particular?
What about guys?
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. They did go out and say, okay, actually we meant for both genders. It's not just for girls.
And this is what I mean by well-intentioned but ignorantly executed.
Yeah.
How can you do something like that, right? Then after the fact, they say that, oh, actually we didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
You cannot what?
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And then after that, let's help our brothers by not dressing and revealing a provocative way. The second statement, I also got a problem against it. Firstly, right, what do you mean? I need your help by having you not being revealing or provocative, meh? I need your help, meh? Like, what are you trying to say here?
I think it's
Are Christian men that low?
Yeah, it doesn't give men / Christian men, it doesn't give them a lot of, like, I guess, control. Doesn't paint them in a way that they have control over their own lustful thoughts and everything, which is not true. And in fact, in a society where, like, I guess we're trying to become more aware about sexual crimes and other deviant sexual behaviors.
Yeah.
This I think the emphasis should be on whether men or females or generally people having control over their lustful thoughts and being able to control them properly. So by saying that, I think even though I'm pretty sure they don't mean to, they're kind of like relinquishing control over over how much control we have on this issue. Which I think it's very toxic even for the guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so before we go on and discuss a little bit more, thank you so much for the people that are joining us on Clubhouse.
Hi.
So those of you that are on Clubhouse, please tell your friends, get everyone to come on the platform. It's something new for all of us. And eventually we would like to migrate our podcast to live stream on Clubhouse as well. So thank you so much for joining us. So anyway, back to the topic of thirst, right? So we're saying that, like, the next line, right? Is that, of course, if you don't have control over their lustful thoughts, and it may not be a sin to wear that skin tight dress or post that bikini photo, but if we can help our brothers, why not? This sentence, I think, summarizes it up completely.
In what way?
Very well intentioned.
Okay.
We just want to help each other not fall into sexual misconduct.
Yes.
Right? But why are you like this? Why do you have to say it this way?
Yeah.
Why do you have to disregard victims? Why do you have to disregard men who clearly can do better? And why do you have to purposely special appeal to girls?
I agree. Okay, so once again, they did post a comment saying that, okay, like, we didn't mean just girls, everything. But I do think that retracting such a statement like that especially after the controversy is being caused and saying, like, oh, actually we meant both genders, it's fine, it applies to both. I think it's a little bit
it's very presumptuous.
I don't know what's the word, but it just doesn't sit right with me. And I feel like, I don't know, my immediate thought when I saw this was like really like oof and oh no. And the second thought was, how did this pass any form of QC? And that's what bothers me more, is that I'm sure that this Instagram account is not just run by one person. I'm just wondering how this managed to pass, like, the whole group of like 5 people, or like whatever chain they have or whatever QC chain they have, to reach because this is something that we have been known for like a long time ago already. We've been talking about victim blaming and about like people, especially survivors of rape, they are not normally most of the time they aren't dressed provocatively. In fact, most of the time they're dressed pretty modestly. They dress very normally. They're in jeans and normal shirt.
Yeah.
So this is something that we have been talking about for like eons already. In fact, it's not anything new. And somehow they still manage to say this without thinking there's anything wrong.
Let me tell you, this is a very clear sign of ignorance. You see, you can say these kind of things, right? However you want in your own Christian community, and people probably will not bat too much of an eyelid. But when you put it out into the public sphere like that, right, your well-intentions are packaged in a way that people will misunderstand. And people will not accept this messaging because this messaging runs counter to how society is trying to improve itself.
Yes.
I give you a good example. You talk about how you want to be less tempting to each other, right? The objective is to get ladies to dress more modestly, right? Putting out something like this into the public sphere, right, just looks incredibly unchristian. Because you see, when we talk about the Christian church, we talk about a place that is supposed to be based on love and acceptance. But then you put out a message like that, right, that says that like, you have to dress modestly to help our brothers out as a for the lack of a better way to put it, as a way to protect yourself or the way to defend your brothers. That's some nonsense.
That's rough.
You cannot try to preach goodness while trying to hand people a lofty idea that does not exist in greater society. This does not work. You cannot claim to be preaching good things when you cannot have the faith that people are doing good things.
Yes. And okay, so we were talking a little bit off camera just now while eating dinner. Over fantastic Korean fried chicken, but that's besides the point. But we were saying something along the lines of like, we don't exist in vacuums. We exist in, to lack of a better way of saying, we live in a society.
We do.
And I know that's like a bit of a meme now, but we really do. And a lot of what we consider right and wrong, whether you like it or not, is based on society. It's based on the context that we have in the current age.
Absolutely.
So I know to them, they probably think that they're not doing anything wrong. And to that, I sometimes, okay, so the phrase I use, I don't know whether it's applicable in this, but most of the time, the phrase I will use is, you're not wrong, you're just an asshole. And I don't know whether this exactly applies, but I think it kind of encapsulates what I think of this. I don't know who's right and wrong. No one really truly knows who's right and wrong. But in a sense of like, when I say right and wrong, I think morally. But I'm talking about in the sense of contextually, in a social sense, right? Here is what our society is trying to go towards. And it is very important because we have proven that victim guilt is a big thing. It has a big toll on their mental health and everything. So if we know we are going towards that, why would you do anything to run counter to that? So that's just my only gripe against it.
And it's really, I feel that something like this coming from a pastor, a youth pastor, right? Who is someone that is in the leadership position in a church. This one pushes people away from the faith. As a result of pushing people away from the church. As a Christian, right, I'm just gonna put it out there that like, honestly, right, I think a lot of Christians, be it Protestants or Catholics, right, a lot of people are forgetting that Christianity is about God and not about church. And this is the biggest problem that I have with certain Christian messaging and certain situations. Now, a lot of Christians are thinking that the LGBTQ community treats them as enemies. And a lot of LGBTQ plus people also think that they treat the Christians as enemies. Since when? Right? Since ignorant people started to make people pick sides. And what happens is that I cannot speak for the LGBTQ plus community, but I can speak for my Christian community. Personally, I feel that like if let's say you want to be a Christian, God calls you to evangelize. Correct? Right? Try to get more people to Christian faith. That's a inherently good message in the Christian faith, and it's also an inherently neutral message in the wider view of society. That's fine, right? Tell people to join more things, whether it's good or not, doesn't matter. That's fine. Right? It gets problematic because a lot of Christians like to do this. Okay, they like to say, you are not doing the right thing. You are bad if you do this. You are not whatever if you never do what I do, whatever. They are not wrong in the Christian context.
They're not wrong. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
They are not wrong in the Christian context. But the problem is, this is not something that is inviting.
In the social way. Also.
Yeah, it's not inviting. So what's your objective here? If you're trying to convert people to Christianity, right? Very, very ironically and oxymoronically, right? You shouldn't be telling people that they are doing wrong things.
Yes.
My clear objective as a Christian is very simple. If I want to evangelize and if I want to bring people to the faith, right? I become a Christian. I Christian until I'm so fucking good, right? That people cannot deny that Christianity is good.
Yeah.
I become such a good example that they have no choice but to accept that I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing something right. And if you really think about it, right, this applies to all religions. You talk about Jesus Christ in Christianity. He got go around and criticize people, man? No what?
Yeah.
He's son of God until so fucking son of God, right? That people cannot deny and follow him. Right? He's so fucking zai until people just like, oh, holy shit, you are the son of God. And then they follow him up. What's that got to do with him telling you will burn in hell or not? No, how did he convert the tax collectors, the prostitutes, and the people who are the lowest of the low? Instead of shunning them like greater to society, what did he do? He straight up invite them, he mingle with them and tell them that if people who love the least of you loves me. And then how can anyone deny that it's good Christian faith?
Yeah.
Right? No one can deny when you do until so good that people cannot deny what. And that should be how all church services work. You see, people are not afraid of good messaging. People are afraid of messaging that victimizes, alienates, or polarizes people.
Yeah, I think that's the right word to use, is alienates.
Yeah, why would anyone be against a Christian teaching that is inviting? Absolutely no one. What? Siao, I tell you good things, like for example, I tell you got discount, you were happy, meh? You were not happy, meh? Of course you happy, what, right? Versus I tell you only passion card members then can have. Why you never sign passion card? What the heck? Of course you're not happy, right? Big song, right? You never sign passion card become your bomb. No, right? It should be very clear. Like you want discount, I have a lot of discounts.
Yeah.
That is what people want to hear, and that is what should be the way. People cannot deny it. Like for example, you want to start a promotions app and say my app only got discounts. People cannot say anything. It's a good app. It's a good discount app. Yeah. As compared to say like my app is good. Who asked you never sign passion card? Lanjiao, you say this kind of thing
Walao. I know that's not the best metaphor, but like sure.
Yeah, but when we translate back to religion, you want to talk about performing well, you want to talk about encouraging people to study, right? You do your class, you do your topic, you do your whatever, your dogma, your doctrine, your whatever, so good until people cannot deny.
Yeah, okay, so I mean going back to for how this applies to, I guess, non-Christians and the people who are just looking from afar, I guess. I think from a non-Christian point of view, it's just very alienating. It's just, okay, so to share a little bit of my own experience, I know we don't have a lot more time, but I used to go to church until I remember there's this once a pastor said he said depressed people are selfish people.
Yeah.
In the eyes, like, cause I don't know, I don't really want to explain why, but that's what he said. And in that moment, it felt so alienating to me.
Yeah.
And I think this has the same effect as that.
Yeah.
It alienates the victims of abuse. It alienates a lot of other people who are probably struggling with this a little bit. And it alienates even people who just want to dress however the hell they want. So why would you want to do that? I don't know, man. I really don't understand why you want to do that.
No, I think the thing about it is that, like I mentioned, and once again go back to the crux of the topic, which is ignorance, right? When you try to think that like you are trying to preach the good word without considering what this good word might sound like, or without considering what people may interpret what you say as, right? Without thinking for other people, right? You are just stuck in your doctrine that like this is good, right? You will miss out on a lot of potential pitfalls that may may shun people, and I think that's terrible. And I think that's what is lacking in a lot of these kind of narratives in the Christian faith. I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but I think that as you always say this, I feel that a lot of mainstream religion, not just Christianity, need better PR teams.
Yeah, the PR, okay, just a little bit of a joke. I really think that, not a joke, but like just a little like reprise from all these serious talks. Just get a better PR team, man. Like, okay, so we only have a little bit time before we have the camera break, but just want to touch on the next part of the thing, which is like their reaction to the content, to like the backlash.
Yeah.
So the fact that they posted this, you know what? We are all human. We all have flaws. Sometimes we make mistakes. Even we do make mistakes. If we make any mistake during this episode, please tell us.
Yeah.
But I think what makes it worse to a lot of other people is their actions after / their inaction after.
Yeah.
So until now, the post is still up, which I, for the life of me, cannot understand why. Like, why is the post still up? And they did issue an apology. Do you want to cover the apology?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why don't you read the apology? But before while Lester pulls out the apology, for those of you that are joining us on Clubhouse, thank you so much for joining us. For all four of you, I'm just gonna name you Vanessa, Joy, Wei Ling, and Xue Yu. Su Yu. I'm so sorry if I got your name wrong, but anyway.
Hi, Sui.
Thank you so much for the four of you for joining us. Do ask your friends to come and join us, and we will be taking a camera break real soon, but don't worry, we will be here, and then we will try our best to keep our podcast on Clubhouse as well, so that in future, whenever you want to tune in, you can tune in without actually having to see our handsome faces.
It's like a radio. Handsome faces is my handsome face, but John's ugly face. Okay, but
apology.
Let's read the apology, and then we'll do a camera break.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
Hi everyone, I realized that this is from the pastor Joanne Chow. So, hi everyone, I realized that my comment on dressing modestly has sparked many responses and comments, and even angered many people. I'm truly sorry if it has hurt anyone, especially victims of sexual abuse. I understand how it ended up coming across as insensitive and that it caused offense to some in the light of recent revelations around Ravi Zacharias. I hope you will allow me to clarify my position. To be clear, I do not advocate victim blaming in any way. In any sex crime, the victim's attire is irrelevant. Women are not responsible for men's actions. I made a point about dressing modestly purely as an appeal for consideration with the best of intentions. While Ravi Zacharias' revelations caused me to think about this issue again, my article was actually not about addressing sexual predation or how to avoid it. Rather, I hope they encourage the Christian community to help each other avoid sexual temptation. In this area, both men and women play a part. As a woman, I wrote the article to speak out to other females who want to take sexual temptation and their part in the church seriously. There is greater clarity in hindsight as to how a message or thought could have been better framed or phrased. I accept that it was not my intention at all to insinuate victim blaming or excuse predatory behavior, and I apologize if it came across this way. Okay. You know what? There's a camera break in 2 minutes. Why don't we give quick thoughts? What's your one sentence quick thought about this?
Firstly, right, I think that good that you are addressing this verbally, but I think more can be done.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. For me, I think that this apology is going to receive a lot of backlash, and I will be surprised if it hasn't already. But I think that as much as I feel this apology, that I agree that a lot more should have been done and could have been done.
Yeah.
I think the way to respond to this isn't more backlash. I think this is when we need to, I guess, show a bit of grace or show a bit of tolerance.
We will discuss that in a little bit. For those of you that are joining us on Clubhouse, don't worry, we will still be talking. You'll hear some noises of us shuffling and resetting our cameras. In the meantime, for those of you that are Clubhouse, you can definitely start thinking about some of the questions that you may want to raise to us. Let us know later also if you have any, if we raised any wrong points or whether we said anything wrong and whether we can be corrected to think better, because we always come in these conversations. For those of you that are subscribers on YouTube, you all know this very well. For those of you that are on Clubhouse, you all might be the first time hearing this. We always come in these kind of conversations ready to have our minds changed.
Yes.
And we don't want any toxic discussions. We encourage highly intellectual discussions, and that's why IMO is where the smart people are at. Okay, but see you all
Smart
real
except
soon.
for John. Okay, see you.
Okay, coming back to topic, Alistair.
The apology. Okay, so I think one big problem with the apology, and I don't exactly blame her, is that I think she focuses a little bit too much on what she meant to do, when the whole point of the controversy isn't attacking her intentions. I don't think anyone truly thinks that she feels this way or is intentionally saying this. What everyone is trying to say is, hey, look, you have good intentions, cool, but this is not it. This is not a good message to send. And I think when you come in, now, even though I'm happy that she did say sorry, she did say I apologize, she did say I'm sorry. That's a good first step. But I do think that the heavy focus on I want to clarify my intentions. I think that's it sounds very defensive. And I think it's not going to come off very well to everyone else, because it sounds like you're trying to justify what you're doing when, you know what, we weren't even trying to attack your intentions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what a good apology would have been is just say, I'm sorry, I'll do better. And like try take down the damn post and maybe even like talk to some victims of sexual abuse on your Instagram
To
page.
get their perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will be in my opinion, a good apology.
But personally, I feel that like they are trying to make an apology here, but they are also missing the point, and that's why it's not enough lah. So when something offensive has been posted, right, the immediate and most obvious reaction should have been to remove it. And I cannot believe
it's still up.
and I cannot believe like people who operate in a society like us cannot detect that this is what is being called for. You know,
Just delete the
that's
damn
first
thing.
one. But the second thing
goodness.
is that like what I have trouble about is that like because of the way that they encourage girls to dress modestly, right, as a way of trying to protect themselves while simultaneously achieving the greater good of helping your brothers and sisters in Christ not to sin. Fair, you can read the entire intention in that sentence, but the problem is that is incredibly not Christian. Let me give you a Christian example. Okay, let's say we talk about the Bible, we talk about Christian faith, right? Why is it that in the Bible they ask you to dress modestly? I tell you why. Okay, because God tell you to treat your body like a temple, to love yourself, and to respect your body. Leave it only for yourself and for God,
Yeah.
and for your spouse or whatever lah. I will not go into the nitty gritty of it.
Yes.
Right. That is the reason.
Mm.
Who is this church organization, this pastor, to tell people that to dress modestly actually is for another reason? That's not fair,
Yeah.
and that is not Christian. That is running your own agenda without understanding what is the purpose of this in the first place.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, right, why is God telling you to dress modestly? God tell you to dress modestly, the Bible tell you to dress modestly for God.
Yes.
Not because you have to deal with sexual temptation and not because you have to defend yourself. No, you dress modestly for God. And like I mentioned earlier in the earlier example about being so good that people join your religion, it also helps with evangelization. Think about it. If you're a Christian, you dress modestly, and the modestly dressed person also does all the great Christian deeds and basically is a saint in modern, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
How much more convincing do people need to be that to see that Christianity is the way, the truth, the light?
Okay.
And this is why I feel a lot of churches, as much as I hate to say this, even senior church leaders like this, and a lot of churches, especially in the realm of the internet, have strayed from God.
Yeah, okay, look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm a master of Christianity or like anything along those lines, but that sounds reasonable to me. I think I just think, okay, from once again a non-Christian point of view, I once again I don't want to bash them too much. I think they are trying, and I do think that their intentions are good. I don't think she's a bad person, and I don't think that people should try to frame her as such. But I think that it would be good if she showed a little bit more willingness to listen. And for now, I don't see that as much. But okay, here's another thing that, okay, so we were disagreeing a bit off camera, but I was saying that like I think this is quote unquote enough for us to stop being angry. But John, why do you think, you said you don't think it's enough?
I don't think it's enough.
Okay, can you tell me why?
Very simply, right? Like there's a very clear path of action that you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Right now, right, her apology addresses the injustice,
Yes.
right? It addresses that, I didn't mean it to be like that. People don't care whether you, like, honestly, that's not what people are concerned about.
Yes.
What people are concerned about is the fact that this messaging is wrong.
Yeah.
You acknowledge that it's wrong, but it's still out there.
Yes.
How is that like? That does not support what you're trying to say here. If you want to apologize, you want to, besides saying that you're sorry, you must also make amends. And in the realm of the internet right now, right, in the modern age where we exist in a society like this, right, words are cheap.
I agree.
How easy it is for me to type in a comment like that, and then after that I edit to make it look even better. So easy.
Yes.
In fact, while I'm talking to you like this, I can be laughing, I can be joking, and I can type a tearful apology on my phone. Words are cheap.
Action speak louder.
Yeah, action speaks louder. Yeah. And a lot of times these are the kind of things that is required, you see. When you make a mistake like that, where you try to appeal to the greater good of girls, but at the same time, you do it in a way that victim shames, what are you trying to do here? Where is the sincerity in your apology?
Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest, I'm not as harsh as you
Yeah.
with regards to this. I'm trying to, I guess, I know this probably a bit too soon, but practice what I preach. So what I've been saying a lot in previous IMO episodes is that as much as we want to call them out, we also want to call them in. We also want to encourage conversations, productive conversations, and I don't think being angry is a good way to start any conversation. So I think our time to be angry, at least for the people who are not victims of sexual abuse, is kind of over already. I think we have said what we have to say. We are angry when we have to be. Victims of sexual abuse, I think that's a whole other topic because this really personally have of personal relevance to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's not fair to them to have to control their emotions. But I think for everyone else, like me and you, when we are more emotionally capable to detach ourselves from the topic and talk to them as humans and talk to them intellectually, I think or rather her showing that she is at least a little bit apologetic is good enough for me to go, okay, look, great that you're at least a little bit, but here is still some stuff that you could have done better. Now let's talk about it.
Okay, maybe I guess your approach is like a little bit more level-headed.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that is important in times like this.
I guess so. Yeah.
Personally, I am not so level-headed about this because clearly the injustice has not been settled.
Of course not. Yeah, definitely not.
You know, and like personally, because like I feel that one other reason why it's making me very, very still upset, right, is because as a Christian, I feel that every time this kind of thing appears, it alienates my religion even more.
Okay.
Personally, I wouldn't say I'm the most staunch Christian, and I'm quite unorthodox in my faith. But the thing about it is that these things are very universal. When you do this kind of thing that universally insults the participants, be it the woman, be it the guy, be it victims of sexual misconduct or sexual abuse or sexual crimes, right? What you're doing right here is that once again you are reinforcing the message that Christianity is the enemy of modern suffering. And that is not the case. The thing about it is that a lot of Christians now, right, don't dare to tell people they are Christian. Why? Why shouldn't we be proud about our religion? Why shouldn't we be proud of the fact that we are God's people? We shouldn't. Because of this kind of ignorant messaging, the humanity in Christians is suffering.
Okay.
So this is where I feel that we have to fix this in a way that addresses everything. Because if you are a Christian and then you see this, firstly, you are disappointed but you're not surprised. And can you imagine if I was 20 years younger, 10 years old, I'm a new Christian or new Catholic.
Yes.
I experience this kind of messaging which runs counter to my way of thinking. I'll be conflicted. Why? I don't want to fight with people on the internet because I'm still young. Second, why my church leader say this kind of thing?
It's an authority thing also.
Yeah, then how?
Yeah, as in like, okay, for 20-year-olds, I guess it's less of a thing because we are very used to dealing with authority. But especially for the younger kids, like they will take the older adults' point of view as like final.
Exactly.
And I think that's going to be very rough, especially if they hear such things and then they go. I'm pretty sure they're having a little bit of like, I think for lack of a better word, cognitive dissonance right now.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out like what exactly to feel. I think that's not very healthy.
Exactly. So my point of view is very simple on this, you did something wrong. How dare you preach the goodness of God, right? When the failings of human are on full display.
Okay.
How dare you without fixing this?
Oof, okay. Do you feel like you're being a bit harsh?
No, I'm not. I feel that, okay, the only bit that I'll be harsh is that if I criticize them and I continue to throw them under the bus, continue to try to make them suffer, right? Which I'm very tempted to do. Okay, but this is something that I also call for all people who are involved in this to not do.
Yeah.
As much as it is also oxymoronic, we must take a Christian approach to these Christians. Okay. I hate to say this, but lead them to the damn light.
Okay.
Instead of telling people that people are doing wrong, which clearly in this climate of the world does not work whether you are Christian or not, right? Show them the right way. Show them the message. Show them the love. Show them the light. So for people that are lost like this, they are ignorant like this, even if they are a church leader, it is high time that we as a society guide them away from this kind of thinking.
Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. I don't know whether I honestly, okay, when I was hearing you just now, honestly, inside my heart, like kind of died a little bit. Not because, it's just because I think I'm very unconfrontational in nature. I'm someone who doesn't like conflict, someone who I rather be very level-headed in my conversations and my confrontations. So, I don't know, my instinct is to go like, okay, someone did something wrong, let's just be cool about it. Let's try to be as level-headed as you can. I'm not saying the people, once again, I'm not saying the victims of sexual abuse should be level-headed. They have every right to not be.
Yeah.
But for people like me, people like you, I think this is our brunt to bear, to try to talk to these people as level-headed as we can.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I still think that I'm of the opinion that they are wrong, but I'm also of the opinion that maybe being harsh and being so hard on them isn't the right way to go.
Yeah.
And I think, once again, I think that is polarizing everyone.
It is. And I think this is also clearly shows that it is not so easy.
Yeah, this is tough, man. This is tough.
As someone who, I wouldn't say I'm even the most invested, I'm just semi-invested because of my religion, right?
Yeah.
It already is very tough.
Yes.
Because right now, right, I cannot tell people that Christianity is not the enemy of sexual victims.
Because clearly...
What do you mean? Like, what if people show this example and then they shoot my point down? My intention to help people, firstly, cannot work anymore.
Yeah.
Secondly, right, how dare I fix other people when I cannot fix my own religion?
Okay. Yeah.
So this is my only problem, you see. There are larger implications here.
Yes.
Good intentions, right? No one is blind to good intentions.
Yes.
No one. Absolutely no one.
Yep.
You know, you do something that is good, fucking everybody will like it.
Yes.
But when you do something that is good, that looks good, but appears bad, you have to fix the bad one.
You have to. Yes, I
Right?
agree.
You cannot be like, you want to try to be better, but then at the same time, you want to encourage people to be better, but you do it by shooting other people down.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the same discussion for LGBTQ plus also.
Yeah, it's just not a good look. And I think, I don't know, okay, do you know what? I think the Christianity side of things, I'm going to leave it up to you to decide and to talk about. But once again, from the non-Christian point of view, it just looks like you guys are very untolerating.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to shout out to all the audience that are watching right now. For those of you that are on Clubhouse, thank you so much for joining us. For the audience on YouTube and Clubhouse, what do you all think? You know, for Christians, I would like you all to step up to answer some of these questions as well. Because honestly, if you think about it, right, is this well-intentioned, but is the action Christ-like? That's one. Okay? Because honestly, this is just me talking out my ass here. And like I told you, I'm Christian, but I wouldn't say I'm the most Christian. I'm no pastor, I'm no priest.
Yes.
Right? I'm just a guy trying not to die.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I think why don't we have some concluding statements before we go into YouTube comments? I think it's something we haven't addressed in a very, very long time.
Yes. Okay, so some concluding statements. First things first, I feel that all Christians can do better.
All humans.
If we want to reference the Bible here, we can pull up a lot of Bible verses, but one of it is that like I cannot quote the exact verse. I'm so sorry, but Jesus did mention that when faced with temptation, to take a drastic action to prevent yourself. Right, where he talks about gouging your eyes out if your eyes cause you to sin, cutting your arm off if your arm cause you to sin.
Yes.
Those are things that you should use to govern yourself. The other thing would be when you talk about acceptance and you talk about being kind, talking about bringing people closer to church, right?
Yes.
There was a verse in the Bible that mentioned about how Jesus mentioned that if you love the least of this, you love me. Right? He was referring to the people that were shunned by society back then, which is all the tax collectors, the prostitutes, and whatever.
Yeah.
If Jesus encourages you to do that, you need to be mindful not just of your actions, but of how your other daily, day-to-day living words whatever, right?
Yeah.
Shun people as well.
Yeah.
And that's my final word on it.
Okay. I'm once again going to talk to the non-Christians because I'm a non-Christian myself. But I would say, I know the majority of people understand how wrong this statement is. And I think to the minority who probably don't see what's wrong with it, I think it's time to probably rethink a little bit of what is right and wrong in this, especially in the context of society now. Do your research about sexual abuse. Do your research about victims of sexual abuse. And you'll see that the pattern is pretty clear. That is obviously not the victim's fault. And such messages, whether or not the intentions are right or wrong, I'm sure she didn't mean, once again, I'm going to say once again, I'm sure she didn't mean to mean it this way. It will inevitably have this effect. And I think it's kind of like, if I punch you and then you say, ow, it hurts, I think your response shouldn't be, but I didn't punch you that hard. It should just be, I'm sorry. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether or not you think it hurts, as long as it hurts. And I think that's my summary of what I want to say. But I do think that now it's time for us to probably, I won't say forgive, but it's time for us to invite her into the conversations. In fact, Pastor, if you are watching this, you want to come on the show, more than willing to let you come on the show. We will want to have a talk with you. We don't agree with you, but I think that will make a good conversation, precisely because we don't agree with you.
Absolutely.
And I think now it's time to start calling people in. And I think that's important. And now it's time for graciousness. Now it's time to show love. And now it's time to try not to be angry, especially if you have the emotional capability to not be angry. So that's my concluding statement.
Very good, very positive. Why, Lester, not bad lah.
Hey, I quite mature one.
Not bad, not too bad. Okay, for those of you that are still with us on Clubhouse, thank you so much for staying all the way.
Thank you.
I would encourage y'all right now to raise your hands if you have any to our conversation, and we would love to hear your opinions. For those of y'all that are joining us on YouTube, go on Clubhouse. You can try to interact with us live. But if not, right, we will be addressing some of the comments that you have left for us.
I'm so sorry we haven't.
While we wait for some of our Clubhouse people to simmer in the thoughts a little bit, and if you all have anything to say, now's the time, lah.
Yeah. So why don't we do some comments? First, okay. So this is a comment from the previous episode, what to do after A levels. IMO episode 45.
Yeah.
So Richard says, okay, another tip for guys going to NS, don't waste your NS allowance on stupid things like alcohol. In a moment, it's damn fun, but next day you wake up with a hangover and empty wallet. Trust me, it feels damn shitty. Go and learn financial literacy. Go to places like Work Salaryman, The Simple Sum, etc. I think that's good advice.
Yeah, pretty good.
I think you want to engage once in a while in hedonistic pursuits. I know this comes in very weirdly in this episode, which is like 90% about Christianity. But if you want to go ahead and like drink, club, not now lah. I mean, once you want to go and drink in club. I think do what works for you. But I do think that if your whole personality is you drinking and clubbing, you should probably rethink your life a little bit lah. So yes, try not to waste too much of your money on drinking and clubbing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially you're a post A-level student, you are probably the poorest form of.
You're 100% the poorest form of life.
Yeah, you are the poorest form of life. So don't waste your money that is probably not even your money.
Yeah.
Which is your parents' money on things that you drink already and then puke out or pee out.
Yes. And next one, we're going to talk about the reacting to Am I the Asshole part 2. So that's episode 44. Pink Dino says, enjoyed this episode of IMO. Thank you very much. This episode actually gained quite a lot of good comments from friends and stuff. Just wanted to say something about a story about stepmother Jane. Got me thinking, if Jane really loves her daughter, does it matter whether she got acknowledged or not? Is it still love if it's a transaction? That's a good thought process. Yeah,
so for those of you that don't know, the context is basically that Jane is the stepmother of a bride, and the bride mentioned her in their bridal speech, but after that further reinforced that she is just someone who is in her life but not her mother, and Jane was very upset by that. But personally, I feel that I don't necessarily agree with the fact that just because it's love, it doesn't have transactions.
Yeah, I think from a psychological point of view, I study psychology for the people who are new.
Yeah.
So basically, there are a few theories into relationships, and one of them is the exchange. I think it's the exchange theory. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically what you're mentioning, like a transaction. That every relationship, the reason why you're in it, whether it's a friendship or whatever, is because they provide you with a benefit.
Yeah.
And you provide them a benefit, and they think that it's worth it.
Okay, I want to say I don't want to say also that unconditional love is dead or whatever lah. But I feel that sometimes the transaction can be very, very, very simple, but that the fact that you acknowledge that this is a relationship.
Yes.
And I think when it comes to a lot of parental relationships, that's the basis of a lot of where parents place their love. A lot of parents I know, they're very good at self-sacrifice, and as a result of that, the only transaction that they expect in return is acknowledgement of the fact that there is self-sacrifice.
Yeah, I agree. As much as I know in the episode I say something along the lines of I think that her mom Jane didn't handle it very well. I don't blame her for feeling this way. I think it's very natural to want to at least be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Of how much you have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's only human. I don't think you can expect human to be 100% unconditional. I think that's a little bit not fair.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine that it's, I guess, a transaction in that sense. But I think the bare minimum should have been acknowledgement. but I still hold the like the opinion that is up to the daughter to figure out when it's okay to, like, I guess, talk about it or like acknowledge her as a mom.
Yeah.
And I think Jane could have done a better job in trying to bridge this topic.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For those of you that are joining us on Clubhouse, right, if you have any comments about today's episode, which is about thirst, and whether we covered all grounds, I highly encourage you all to just raise your hand, and then you will have the stage, man. So, Alistair, what's the next comment?
Actually, there isn't much comments already. The one that has the most comments is the must watch Netflix shows, and they just named a lot of shows. So I'm not gonna read through all the shows, but I do want to say, Grace said John screaming the intro is always a mood. When I read this comment 2 weeks ago, I laughed. Yeah, and then you'll see me dancing. Guys, someone should do a compilation of all our intros. I think it'll be quite funny. It's just all the guests looking around being confused why John is screaming. And it's me dancing. So if you want some Netflix recommendations, please go and watch that or must watch Netflix shows. Even if you don't like our recommendations, go in the comments. Some of them have really great very great recommendations. Like Black Mirror, completely forgot Black Mirror, like Attack on Titan, like Reply 997, The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep.
So yeah, go ahead and check that out.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think more or less we have addressed some of our YouTube audience. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, just to let you all know, we will always try to reserve the last few minutes of each episode to try to address some of the comments that were brought up in the previous episode.
We haven't been doing great in that, but
yeah, and now we have one more new thing, right? Which is Clubhouse, right? For the 5 of you that are joining us in Clubhouse right now, thank you so much. Okay, we are starting Clubhouse as like sort of like a new platform for us to broadcast our podcast. And like I always say, if you ever have any comments for us, if you're ever curious about what the topic is about, the floor is open. Raise your hand. We will always invite you on, and you can always give us some of your thoughts.
Yes. Okay, so for today was a little bit more impromptu. I know because John literally just during dinner was like, hey, so we today Clubhouse. Then I said, okay. Then we just did it. So it's a little bit more impromptu. That's why it's only like literally seconds before we went live that we posted on Instagram. But I promise the next time we do it, we will be more systematic. We'll probably tell you when we are doing it, like a week in advance, so that you can book the dates, you can set free, get a cup of coffee, and listen to our podcast while trying to comment, I guess.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us today, guys.
So
Vanessa, Joy, Wei Ling, Stacy. Thank you so much for sticking around on Clubhouse.
Yes.
For those of y'all, if you all got more thoughts, man, once again, healthy conversations in our comment section. Yeah, nobody's toxic on overthink. You want to be toxic, go and be toxic on other people's channel. Don't be toxic on our channel. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for supporting. Just want to clarify, we are on Clubhouse, but we are going to continue to be on YouTube 100%. We're going to continue to be on Spotify, so don't worry about that. We are still sticking. We just want to add another avenue that people can catch us on.
Yes.
So thank you guys so much. Stay safe. Recess week next week for me. It's also my birthday next week. But like
that sounds like a you problem. Okay, but add us on Instagram.
Add us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on all platforms. Our podcast is on all platforms.
I'll add the Clubhouse links as well in the description.
Yes, and you get to see our beautiful faces here on YouTube and our beautiful voices there in Clubhouse. So one last opportunity for the people in our Clubhouse group. If you all have any questions, now is the time.
They seem like a shy group. Maybe when we turn off the camera, they'll be a bit more open. So why don't we just end it for the YouTube folks for now? Yeah. So if you're on YouTube, on Spotify, thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you guys had a good time. Stay safe and see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.